Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels. Today it is Poetry Thursday, so I want to talk about some interesting poetry that I found, and it is also this period of Pride where I talk about LGBTQA poets, and indeed I found another such poet of interest there, and so today's poem is all about the desert. I am referring to Solar by Robin Becker. For those who don't know, Robin Becker is an American poet, white American poet, who has been getting their work published since the 70s, writing a number of books of poetry, some chapter books, winning a number of awards, and teaching as well. Robin is a lesbian, which is why you see me talking about her today. It's also important to note that a lot of her poetry seems to touch upon themes of womanhood and whatnot, which I think in some ways today's poem also does that. So without further ado, let's talk about this poem. I will read it, do a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. Solar. The desert is butch. She dismisses your illusions about what might do to make your life work better. She stares you down and doesn't say a word about your past. She brings you 1,000 days, 1,000 suns effortlessly each morning rising. She lets you think about what you want all afternoon. Rain walks across her mesa, red-tailed hawks writhe in fields of air. She lets you look at her. She laughs at your study habits, your orderly house, your need to name her vainest woman you've ever met. Then she turns you toward the voluptuous valleys. She gives you dreams of green forest. She doesn't care who else you love. She sings in the grass, the sagebrush, the small trees struggling, and the tiny lizards scrambling up the walls. You find her when you're ready in the barbed wire and fence post, on the scrub where you walk with your parched story, where she walks, spendthrift, tossing up sunflowers, throwing her indifferent shadow across the mountain. Haven't you guessed? She's the loneliest woman alive, but that's her gift. She makes you love your own loneliness, the gates to darkness and memory. She is your best indifferent teacher. She knows you don't mean what you say. She flings aside your technical equipment. She requires you to survive in her high country, like the patient sheep and cattle who graze and take her into their bodies. She says lightning and get used to it. Her storms are great moments in the history of American weather. Her rain remakes the world, while your emotional life is run off from a tin roof. Like the painted clown at Pecurus Pueblo who started up the pole and then dropped into the crowd anonymous, she paws the ground, she gallops past. What can you trust? This opening, this returning, this arroyo, this struck gong inside your chest, she wants you to stay open like the hibiscus that opens its orange petals for a single day. At night, a fool, you stand on the chilly mesa, split open like the great cleft of the Rio Grande Gorge, trying to catch a glimpse of her, your new long-term companion. She gives you a sliver of moon, howl of a distant dog, windy premonition of winter. In terms of analysis, that was Solar. There is quite a bit worth talking about with this poem. In terms of narrative, there doesn't seem to be a strict one. It seems to be the author, the narrator, talking about the desert. Specifically, they're talking in the second person, like you, like a very omniscient type person. This person who is in the desert seems to be going through a bit of an emotional period. It says she doesn't care who else you love, which indicates that there might be a bit of love there. And then also, she's the loneliest woman alive, but that's her gift. She makes you love your own loneliness, the gates to darkness and memory. She is your best indifferent teacher. She knows you don't mean what you say. And also, what can you trust? This opening, this returning, at night, a fool, you stand on the chilly mesa. There's a lot of instances throughout this poem where there's an implication that the person, you in this poem, might be going through a bit of a sad moment. Maybe you lost someone, maybe you went through a breakup, and you've absconded to the desert to sort of find yourself. And that might be possible, but the desert doesn't care. The desert is indifferent. As the narrator says, the desert is butch. She dismisses your illusions about what might do to make your life work better. She laughs at your study habits, your orderly house, your need to name her the vainest woman you've ever met. And, the desert is everywhere. It's omnipresent. You find her when you're ready in the barbed wire and fence post on the scrub where you walk with your parched story. She's the loneliest woman alive. She flings aside your technical equipment. Particularly interesting is she says lightning and get used to it. Her storms are great moments in the history of American weather. Her rain remakes the world. And that's particularly interesting. Again, the desert is powerful. The desert can do anything. It's thunderous. It's lightning. But describing something as her storms are great moments in the history of American weather is just fantastic. It's a very descriptive, for something to be like a great moment in the history of weather, it has to be pretty powerful. And so, I think Robin Becker manages to say quite a bit while saying, not that much in this poem. It's pretty powerful. And so you're in this place where it's just so powerful. It's so indifferent. It doesn't care that you're there. And yet you're still trying to find yourself. So a lot going on for the people in this poem. And then, another important aspect of the poem is, of course, the use of pronouns in this poem. The desert is described as butch. She dismisses your illusion. She is your teacher. You find her when you're ready. So the desert is described as a woman, as a lesbian butch woman. Very interesting kind of way of phrasing that. When you describe nature, you call it Mother Nature, you call it Mother Earth, Gaia. Maybe that's a little bit more of that here, expressing the power of nature through womanhood, which is something that Robin Becker has done before. I think I encountered a number of other poems as well when I was looking for this one, where it gave me the same vibe, same idea being expressed. There's that sense of femininity in the poem. Now, I might make myself a fool in this next part, but there is a section at the end where she says, you stand on the chilly mesa, split open like the great cleft of the Rio Grande Gorge. Now, is that a reference to the vagina at all? Because, there's, it's already Mother Nature, and then the Rio Grande Gorge is, split open. Is this, a sort of sexual kind of thing there? I feel like I'm making a fool by, making that comparison, but, a lot of poets are very sexual in that nature, and so I don't feel like I'm making that big of a leap. Especially because every time I read it, I get that vibe, especially given that there's that constant reference to she in this poem. If you think different, if you think I'm being silly here with that, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you and see what your interpretation of this. Maybe it's a much more straightforward interpretation. It's just using the she is giving one the impression that she's talking about like a physical body or something like that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Solar by Robin Becker, a pretty high-quality poem, one that I definitely think you should seek out because there's quite a bit worth thinking about in that poem. If you have any thoughts on it, anything that you'd like to say about my review here, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this poem, this poet, or Poetry Thursday if they want to engage in that as well. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and desert-based travels. Farewell.